What's up, guys? Trying something new. I'm gonna try to do Zoom with Facebook, because I've never did that before. So let's see. All right, cool. So it pops up on my thing, so I'll be able to see you guys if you comment. So this will be useful. It's gonna help me in terms of like sharing my screen to show you guys some stuff. That way you can actually like see me while I'm talking. If you hear the dogs barking, I do apologize. They just ate dinner. So today I wanted to go over how to build muscle. Hold on, let me see if I can share screen. Let's do desktop. All right, so this is much better than how I was doing it before on Facebook Live. So hopefully it's coming through okay. Like I said, if you hear the dogs are like running around. All right, so how, and the reason I'm doing this because I saw you guys were asking in the chat that we have going on, and I kind of want to go over a couple of things in terms of like what I've done to be successful, what my past clients, what I've given them in order to be successful in putting on muscle. So right, the goal is to really start seeing that change in how you look, right? Obviously, like we want to put on muscle. That's why we go to the gym. And I have so many people that I've spoken to in the past, and even clients that I've worked with. You're like, I'm working out, I'm working out, I'm working out. Why am I not seeing, excuse you, told you they're gonna start barking. Why am I not seeing any results? Like, why am I not seeing like muscles in the mirror? Like, I'm consistent. So, rule number one, let's see if I can type this out. Rule number one, right? Eat food. It sounds like super simple, but in reality, it's not because so many people undereat constantly and they're like, I feel like I'm eating, I'm always full. I can't eat anymore. Guess what? Like you have to eat a lot more than you think you do in order to put on muscle. So in times where I am looking to, gain strength, pack on muscle, I usually do it during the winter, right? Because it's cold out, wear more baggy clothes. Because when you're putting on muscle, like fat is gonna come into play too, right? You're eating a caloric excess, so you're not like in a deficit any longer. Excuse you, come here. Hey, see, they like beat each other up. Pause. Pause for the puppy. They just beat each other up all the time. All right, so right, we got to eat more food. We got to eat enough so that way our body can get enough calories in, right? Because when we're exercising, we're breaking down muscle. And then when we're building muscle, it's basically in the recovery mode. It's when we're eating more food. So eat more food. Be in a surplus. Put this in cap locks. So surplus. Or like I'm holding the dog. Maintenance. Right? Like even in a maintenance, you can build muscle. So I would highly suggest like starting with that first and then like increasing your calories over time. If you're like plateauing. But yeah, that's basically what it comes down to in terms of like the nutrition side of things. It's eat more food, be in a surplus or in a maintenance, because that's going to really help out. What else I got? All right, so this client, we worked together. It was back in, I think it was like when I first started out, but he is a great example because he was under eating and he was exercising, and was like, I'm not really I'm not seeing results. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not seeing more muscle gain. And guys, like, this is definitely a process. Like, don't expect to pack on 20 pounds of muscle in like a couple weeks. Like, it takes time. So you just really have to be consistent with your food and your exercising. All right, so he like reached back out to me. He was like, look, like, thank you so much for what you taught me, because I'm still using it. And that's really the goal, right? So what I did for him, let me pull up his stuff and slide it in here. So what I did for him, like, and this is what I do for my clients, is just show them like examples on how to eat, right? How they're usually eating to begin with. So he's like I'm obsessed with like kombucha, so like I always need to eat that stuff, so whatever. I was like, cool, like we'll put it in there, man. I tell my clients too, like, don't be afraid of food. Like, I've eaten so many bagels in the past 2 days, it's insane. But the goal is, right, I'm starting to increase my caloric intake, my carbs, So here he was eating like around 2,600 calories, which is crazy because that's how much I was eating at the time as well. He could probably at this point continue to increase. But back then, this is what we were doing. So he was eating upwards of like over 200 calories or 200 grams of protein, 91 grams of fat. And so he could even switch this up if he wanted to. Like we were just high on the protein because the goal was really to try to pack on muscle during our time together. So he could always like drop the protein down a little bit and throw in the carbs. Because honestly, like this is how much I was eating. I think when I was training him too, and I was eating 260 grams of carbs, and my protein was around 180, and my fats are really up there. They're probably close to 92. But right, like it's just a lot of food. Like you have to. I spelled maintenance wrong. What else is new? You really have to pack on that those meals. Like I tell you, like I feel like I'm eating constantly when my goal is to put on muscle. It's like nonstop. So that another thing we'll talk about is how you lift. So if you're like going in the gym and you're like lifting the same weight constantly, then it's going to be really hard for you to see any changes, right? So if you're lifting like the same amount over and over again for years, and you'll notice like because you go in the gym and we all get on the same machines and we all use the same amount, if you're not changing the way your lifts are, and you're going to get stuck, right? So you can still do the same machines, but change up things like tempo, sets, reps, add in drop sets, supersets, things like that, where you're challenging your body a lot more. So things like that, right? So let's see if I can do this and hold the puppy at the same time. Challenge your lifts. So that really comes down to it too. And most people think like more is better in terms of like, I went in the gym and I did like 100 different sets of things. Not so much, right? Because we want to make sure we're just really working on the effort that we're putting in, right? You can go into the gym, do 4 different workouts, and if your effort was really good, you targeted all the muscles, then that's what really counts. So effort. If you're going in there and you're just like playing on your phone the whole time, like that ain't it. Like I'm like shaking when I'm at the gym. I'm like this because my goal is to like max effort, whatever exercises I'm doing. So yeah, I don't know if I can see any comments on here. Let me try my phone. Sometimes that works. All right, cool. Just want to make sure nobody was writing anything. Sweet. Okay, so eat food, right? Be in a surplus or a maintenance, if I can figure out how to spell that. Challenge your lifts and max effort. That really is what it comes down to in terms of building muscle. It's not super complicated as most people want to make it out to be. You don't need like a million different supplements, right? So like for him, like we did eat, he had whey protein. Everything else was like normal food. You know what I mean? Like wasn't anything crazy. Let's see what this one was. Like tuna, just high protein. That was really it. Like we were trying to get his protein up. We were trying to really work on like more eggs, just easy stuff that he could take into work. He was a registered nurse. He still is, and worked in a really busy hospital in Philly. So he, like most of you that are in these positions, like he was like, it's hard to eat at work. So we kind of worked on like quick things you just throw in the microwave, stuff like that. Snacks that are high in protein, stuff like that. Right, because what else we got? Yeah. I'm trying to think of anything else we can really dive into. Track your food if you have no idea what you're eating. Again, you don't need fancy things. You just need to know what you're eating. And if you're like, I'm only eating 1,300 calories, you are way too low to start seeing some building of the muscles, right? You want to increase that. You get your maintenance first, hit that, and then increase up. So track your food, figure out where you're starting, go from there. Yeah. Other than that, kind of what I did too is exactly that, right? So when I first started out, I had no idea what macros were. I was like, I don't know what this is. Like, you want me to count what? And like, I gotta figure out how to do this by looking at nutrition labels. Like, this seems so confusing. It's really not. The more you do it, and it helps you. If you're not willing to track, it's gonna be really hard, especially if you're new to this. So most people think they could just go in and be like, well, I could just figure it out. If you're not tracking, you're going to be up and down most days, and it's going to be really inconsistent. And that's why I teach my clients macro counting, because it teaches them how to be consistent with their meals, hit the same macros every day. Like, you don't need to be up and down with your macros. I know there's like a million different things out there, like intermittent fast, have low days, have high days, stuff like that. Like, it's not necessary. It depends on like what your weekly intake is. And that's what I show my clients when I go over their nutrition. I'm like, this is what your weekly intake looks like. This is what your daily looks like. These are days where you're low. These are days you're high. And if they're not seeing any weight loss and things like that, then 9 times out of 10, it's because, they're just not being consistent with their nutrition. So that's pretty much what it comes down to in terms of tracking your food. But yeah, like, I just really focused in on primarily first, like, just hitting my protein number. Like, that was my number one goal. How am I going to hit my protein number? And just pre-logging was really big for me. Like, just write down, a couple things, go from there. And then I got better at it, right? So then I was like, all right, now that I already pre-tracked my food, how, like, what if I can't pre-log it? Like, what if I'm just like winging it for the day? And that's how I started learning it that way. So now, and plus, like, obviously, like, doing it with clients and stuff for years, it's gotten me a lot better at it. But I can figure out meals like in a few minutes and what to eat in order to hit my macros just from doing it for so long. And doing it for so long is just going to make you better and better at essentially not having to track anymore. There's times or months I'll not even track and I won't see any weight loss or weight gain because I'm good at being consistent with it at this point. Just like anything, right? If you want to be good at something, you have to practice, right? So in order for you to see like muscle gain, you got to eat. You got to eat. This has been the biggest mindset thing for a lot of my clients as well, because for so long, like, we've been taught, like, don't eat this, don't eat that, you can't have this. I just sent like a video, like a picture in my client only message. We have our client only message board. I was like pre-work or post-workout, and I had like a bagel because like for the longest time, like, to me, bagels were like demonized. And I'm like, how many bagels can I eat a day? But for real, like, don't look at food as bad, things like that. It's just going to send you down a really bad road, right? That's why I like to use the macros, because you can make things fit into your day. All right, so eat food, get that surplus, right, if you can, or just start out with your maintenance. Gosh, I cannot spell. Challenge your lifts, put some effort in those lifts, right? Track your food, and ultimately take progress pictures, right? Pics, take measurements, keep up with that stuff. If you're not willing to like see you're not going to see progress if you, excuse you, see, put her down for 1 second. You want to play, take progress pictures, take measurements. If you're not willing to really check on that stuff, it's going to be really hard to see the progress. All right, I'm going to go because these two are going to act up. But hopefully that helped, right? Because you can go from no muscle to muscle. This is actually an old picture, so I have a lot more updated ones, but this one was side to side, so I was like, let me just pull this one up quick. But yeah, you guys can do it. It's just a matter of consistency, patience, and doing all this stuff.